Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more AmITheButtHole. And if you love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that subscribe, that like, maybe that notification bell too. And if you really want to be awesome, you can support us over on Patreon. Link is in the description, and let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Am I the Arsehole Glucose Father, who says, Am I the arsehole for publicly calling out the school nurse? And it does follow with an update. Me, 34 male, my daughter with type 1 diabetes, 11 female. My daughter has type 1 diabetes and has been diagnosed since she was 5. For the most part, she handles it like a champ, but she's a kid. Sometimes it sucks. I don't blame her when she's upset about it. She's gotten very good at managing how she's feeling and speaking up when she feels off or wrong. That said, she's 11 and the nurse and 2 of her block teachers are meant to supervise when she gives herself medication. We have a 504 plan in place at her school and I've had it in place since diagnosis. I have conferences with teachers every year, and since she started at the middle school this year, her new nurse and administrative staff. I let my daughter speak her piece and let her feel heard. She struggled with non-school extracurricular before ignoring her concerns when she says she doesn't feel good because she looks fine. This school year started the end of August and we met a week prior. I got a call Monday afternoon while I was at work saying that the school bus driver had to call an ambulance for my daughter on the way home because she fainted. My job is 40 minutes away, so I said I would meet them at the hospital. She was awake and chatting with her nurse when I got there. Her blood sugar had dropped very low while she was at school. She was feeling better and didn't seem too bothered, so I took her home once allowed and let her pick a movie to watch. Once the movie was over, I asked if she didn't feel good at school. I needed to make sure she wasn't ignoring her symptoms and had eaten lunch. She told me that she felt weird just before the end of the day and checked her sugar with her teacher, who had sent her to the nurse when it was really low. When she told the nurse she needed glucagon, the nurse said no and she should take it at home when she gets there. At this point I was raging. The nurse did not give her a medication and then sent her to the bus. The 504 plan in place has a stipulation that if her blood sugar is too low at the end of the day, she cannot take the bus home. The nurse is supposed to give her glucagon and I get called to pick her up or arrange someone to take her home. The bus drivers aren't trained to know what to look out for or to give her medication. I called the school Tuesday morning to arrange a meeting to talk about what happened. We scheduled it, but it hasn't happened yet. In the meantime, I went wild. Mile-long Facebook post with pictures of the 504 and hospital bill and me ranting. It kinda took off and got a lot of attention. Last night, my siblings and co-workers started telling me maybe I went too far in making the post, specifically in naming the nurse. It was shared in a couple of different pages on Facebook for our county and town, and a lot of people have been making comments on the school board's social medias about the nurse. A lot of the outrage comes from other parents with kids on 504 or IEP plans. Am I the arsehole for calling out the school/nurse? It was the last paragraph that jumped out to me in this one, when you did put it on social media, which I'm always skeptical about going down that path. And my reasoning for that is I see a lot of false accusations to other schools, through Facebook and anonymous social media pages where they can leave their message anonymous and they rage about a school, with sometimes no proof of the matter. And I'm not saying that in this particular case, but that's what I sometimes see on social media. I see it quite often actually. But in this story, there's something clearly going on that, other parents with 504 IEP plans are complaining about this particular person as well. So obviously that is going to be a bit concerning. But Far Seat says, not the arsehole. The nurse neglected a medical plan and your daughter got sick because of it. I'll do the same thing. If she can't care for the children and do her job, then she doesn't need to be a nurse. Boo Bob says, not the arsehole. The nurse was wildly irresponsible for sending a child with a low blood glucose level anywhere, never mind on the bus. I would have reacted exactly the same way. She put your baby's life at risk and that is the worst distress someone can cause a parent. That said, just double check with someone in the know to make sure that there are no potential legal ramifications to your post. Perhaps put a disclaim post out to say that you're speaking to the school and the result of that is pending just to cover yourself. Jintes says, not the arsehole, not the arsehole, not the arsehole. You did not go too far. You haven't gone far enough in my opinion. This is serious. Shadow Observer says everyone sucks here, partially based on comments. Clearly something went wrong and a responsible adult at the school screwed up. However, blasting the school and the nurse by name based on the word of an 11-year-old who has experienced not just the physical but mental effects of low blood sugar prior to the meeting scheduled to discuss the incident was premature. Especially since you say in the comments that a previous 504 plan did allow your daughter to go home on the bus, and you don't know if the nurse was given the correct one. If it turns out the nurse didn't actually screw up the way it seemed, it doesn't matter how hard you try to walk it back, she/he is never going to stop feeling the after effects of this. Maleficent Turnover 24 says, I'm surprised how far I had to scroll for this. Obviously the school is screwed up, but is it too much to ask to check your facts before you start a very public and personal attack on someone, which could have various serious consequences for their life? And one more from Adjusting Stuff who says, fiance of a T1 here, so I'm totally biased. Not the arsehole. That nurse should know better. Her decision is appalling and she's lucky your daughter didn't die or get severely injured when she had fainted. The few times I've seen my fiance low, talking literally single digits, have been terrifying for so many reasons. You should be angry. The other parents in your community should also be angry. Maybe it wouldn't be diabetes, but what if another child develops a medical condition that requires a 504 or IEP? What if the nurse has done this before, but nothing really significant happened then, and then your daughter is just the first time she was caught? Seriously, I cannot emphasize how not the arsehole you are here. Now, what do you guys make of this one? A couple of different opinions there. Many of them saying, not the arsehole, you haven't gone far enough. A couple of comments saying, you should have waited for all the facts to come in, maybe the meeting first. What do you guys think? And now we're going to move on to the update. Update. In short, the nurse was fired. She was reported to all necessary persons by myself and the school. My daughter is fine, she is in a new school. We're reviewing her treatment and school plans with doctors. That day, my daughter's last block teacher had gone to the nurse to check in on her because she knew her sugar was too low to go on the bus. She didn't see my daughter there and asked the nurse, who told the teacher she dismissed her to the bus. Internally, the teacher reported the nurse before I even knew what had happened. My lawyer came to the meeting with me. The school was already in damage control mode and as apologetic as could be. They let me know the nurse was put on leave by the next morning. Their lawyer came with an offer to pay the medical bills. He talked about how they would be meeting with the teachers' union so they could properly move forward with the nurse's dismissal. My lawyer and I left and he said they were doing everything they could to not have me sue them. I chose not to sue, so as long as they covered the hospital bills and damages. For those who asked about the glucagon injection without her passing out, that day her vision went black, she was dizzy and she was stumbling once in the nurse's office. Other health things, she's getting a CGM and a phone. Regrettably, I was not above bribing her. We're revising her plan and talking to her school about all of the changes. For those concerned about my using the nurse's name, my lawyer had no concern since her name was in multiple places associated with the school and her place of employment was on her own social media sites. Since during the meeting it was confirmed what happened with my daughter and what she had told me was accurate, he didn't think she would have any grounds to stand on if she wanted to pursue action against me. For those who commented I was the arsehole for sharing my daughter's info on Facebook, I have 50 friends who are majority family. I also always check with her when I post pictures and about what I share. That's the easiest place for multiple people to get quick and big updates at once. Some of the older family members check Facebook more than their emails. You can be upset I shared this, but this system has worked for us. Family gets updates of what she's okay with, them all knowing. I didn't think my Facebook could share my post, but my privacy settings were open. That's since been fixed. Also, since a few asked, I am my daughter's only parent. Her mother gave up all rights and no longer lives nearby, which is why she is not on the list of emergency contacts. For obvious reasons, I'm still upset about it all, but my daughter is acting as if nothing ever happened. She's fitting into a new school well, and she is as happy as ever. And as updates go, I think that's probably as good as going to get in that situation, that you're getting your medical bills paid for, the person who was negligent has been released, and daughter is happy and healthy once again. But what do you guys make of this story? What do you think about the update? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from Patient Bad 9901, titled, Am I the Arsehole? I told my wife to stop acting like she's too good for a local diner. Today was my younger daughter's birthday, so we asked her where she wanted to go for dinner at. She said she wanted to go to Denny's, so that's where we went. Our daughters ordered burgers and waffles. Good call. I ordered a steak and my wife took a salad. She kept complaining about the food, saying it wasn't good. I tasted some of her salad and it tasted fine. I asked her what the problem was and she said the diner wasn't good enough and that it isn't as good as restaurants we usually go to. She likes to go to high-end restaurants. I took her aside and told her to stop acting like she's too good for a local diner and to suck it up for our younger daughter's happiness at least. She got mad and said that I'm being rude to her and that this restaurant was really cheap and not good enough. So I gave her the car keys and told her to drive herself home and get dinner for herself from a high-end restaurant of her choice and that I'd get a cab for myself and the kids. She stormed out of the restaurant. When the kids asked me where mummy went, I told them that Nana called her so she had to go, but she'd make it up to them with ice cream. We had dinner, went to a movie and took a cab home. When we reached home, I put them to bed because my wife hadn't returned yet. I called her and she said that she'd be at her mum's place for the night. I think maybe I was too harsh on her. Am I the arsehole? Edit. My daughters like fast food joints a lot because they rarely get a chance to go there. My wife hates eating there, so she never takes them. I take them for a quick meal after school sometimes, but that's the only time they go there. They probably feel bad looking at their friends who get to go to such places all the time. Absolutely not the arsehole in this situation. I think you handled it pretty well. Your wife was choosing her own happiness over your daughter's on her birthday. There's some places like where I wouldn't want to go, but sometimes you make these little sacrifices for the happiness of like my nieces and nephews because that's what they want to do in it and make them smile, and it just makes it all worth it, right? But I could never see myself. I know the husband offered it, like, go to your own restaurant. I would never actually go through with that either. Like, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to go to the restaurant and then I'm going to not talk to you for the rest of the evening either. Not the arsehole from me. But Make That Noise says not the arsehole. I would never go to Chuck E. Cheese for myself, but I go for my son and make it a fun time for him. Your wife was hurting her child's feelings. It was okay to tell her that. I gotta admit, I've always wanted to go to Chuck E. Cheese. Just for the experience, I think. But Sarah Kill Rising says, your wife sounds incredibly selfish and childish if your daughter chose to have her birthday dinner at Denny's and she threw a tantrum because it wasn't a higher end restaurant. It's not about her, it's about your kids, not the arsehole. Kitty Snowpants says not the arsehole. My mum did something similar to me when I got to choose a restaurant for my birthday dinner as a little kid, and I still remember how awful it was as a full grown adult. If you're going to a birthday event, the event is about giving the birthday child a treat. If a parent is going to complain and sulk and otherwise ruin the meal, then there's no point in having the meal at all. You weren't harsh, you were direct, and you were 100% correct. If your wife can't put her kids' wants first for one meal a year, then she just shouldn't come to the birthday dinner. Anxious Big says not the arsehole. Seems like you have another child to deal with. Calgary Chris says not the arsehole, but sorry, Denny's isn't a local diner, it's a massive chain that is everywhere. When you're a parent, you have to go to crappy places your kids want sometimes. That is literally the business model of places like Denny's and Boston Pizza. Now, what do you guys make of this one? Do you think the wife was in the wrong? Do you think the husband could have handled it differently maybe? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from Fuss Road Dog. Am I the arsehole? My aunt refused to let me see my grandma because of my service dog. I, 25 female, have had various health issues my entire life. The biggest problems being reactive hypoglycemia and seizures. My seizures aren't medication controlled and they get worse when my sugar gets low or I stay stressed. I have a service dog. She's able to alert to lows and before a seizure so I can lie down somewhere safe instead of falling on my face. A few months ago, my aunt told me that my grandma was in late stage heart failure and she was starting to experience symptoms of dementia. I was heartbroken. My aunt asked me if I wanted to visit and I tearfully said yes. I told her I didn't have money for any travel or board, which is true. I'm below the poverty line and she offered to pay for the flight and for me to stay at her and her grandmother's house. I thanked her. I cried. I was kind of a mess. My service dog saw I was upset and came over to lay her head in my lap for pats. It isn't a task, but it always helps calm me down. My aunt paused, then said, but you have to leave your pet at home. I was confused. I told her there is no way I would bring my cat on a plane. He's like 16. She sighed really hard and said, no, the dog. I don't want her at my house. She'll upset the cats. I argued that my service dog is trained, and part of that training is to ignore other animals unless I give her the cue that she can say hi. Aunt didn't care. You'll have to leave the dog behind or I won't help you get here. I was in tears again, trying to explain that I can't leave my disabilities at home, and that means I can't leave behind the lifeline that helps me live with them. She told me to make a decision and hung up. I've been denied from public places before. Not every business owner understands or cares about the ADA laws. Obviously, it's different when the person doing it is related to you. Aunt kept dangling this opportunity over my head for weeks. I kept begging for her to let me come with my service dog because it's unsafe for me to go without the dog. Aunt goes radio silent. Days pass. She calls me one morning and tells me that my grandma is hours from death. I'm immediately freaking out again. I beg to come down and Aunt, strangely giddy, asks, "Without the dog, right?" I told her she is being hateful. I told her I thought she of all people would understand, and the fact she doesn't is tearing me up. She told me that it's sad the dog is more important than family. A few days pass and she texts me, forwarded, she didn't even have the decency to copy and paste it, to say that my grandma has passed away and they'll have a celebration of life at their house later in the month. She specified that no one is to bring any pets. She later texted me individually to make sure I'm leaving that dog at home. I snapped and told her to go fuck herself, that I'd stay home, that at least my pet doesn't treat me like shit, that I expected better from family. I hung up on her. Am I the arsehole? Not the arsehole. From the very title I was already going, yeah, this is going to be a not the arsehole post, but it almost came across like Aunt is sadistic in some ways. You said at one point, kept calling you and dangling this in front of you to not bring the dog. It's like, why are you doing this? And I just got to say, that is not family. That's not someone who cares about family. And another quote from her, she told me that it's sad that the dog is more important than family. And you think, what is going through that person's mind? Wow, but Quillandora says, not the arsehole. If your aunt can't control her cats around a service animal for a few days, that's her problem. And I'm sorry that got in the way of seeing your grandmother in her last days. Sounds like Aunt doesn't respect that you have an actual reason to have your dog with you, and doubled down and got petty when you correctly called her out on it. Do you have other relatives that you could make aware of the situation, who you could stay with for the funeral? I'm sorry for your loss, OP. Ariel says, not the arsehole, your aunt would put you in danger by doing that. Sleepy Octopus says, not the arsehole, you'd be in actual danger without your service dog. Your aunt was and is being unnecessarily cruel. I'm really sorry you were unable to see your grandma before her passing, and that you are being kept from her celebration of life as well. Lanky Legosi says, not the arsehole. Holy shit, not the arsehole. Your aunt is. She obviously doesn't know / care what a service dog is or cares about your disability. I'm so sorry you went through this. That's your well-being that she is denying. That dog is your safety. My condolences on losing your grandmother. My heart goes out to you. And one more from my squishy fishy who says, not the arsehole. This has to be one of the saddest stories I've ever read on this sub. I'm so sorry your own family treated you like this. Do not apologize and don't let this person back into your life. After all, her cats are more important than family. Now, what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Coffee Firm 3729. Am I the arsehole for refusing to buy my daughter a new pair of glasses? My daughter is 13 going on 14 and we recently found out she needs glasses. She got a prescription of -3.00 in each eye, and after a lot of arguing and fighting she eventually agreed to go to the optometrist and pick out a frame she liked. As soon as her glasses were ready to go though, she started making up lots of excuses not to wear them. She kept insisting she sees perfectly fine without them and complained that they're annoying, that they get in the way while playing sports, that they look stupid on her, etc. So as much as we nagged and argued with her, she was still dead set on never putting her glasses on and nothing could change her mind. We even suggested she wear contacts instead, but she wouldn't hear of it. Yesterday, my husband got in a fight with her over the fact she wouldn't take her glasses with her to school, and she got angry and tossed them out the window, and we live on the 6th floor of an apartment complex, so they were beyond repair. Now my husband insists we go back to the optometrist and get a new cheaper pair of glasses because he's afraid she has struggled to see the blackboard at school. However, I really don't think she should get a new pair of glasses anytime soon, at least until she agrees to take proper care of them and actually wear them. The one she had before was anything but cheap, and the last thing I want is her tossing another pair out of the window. Am I the arsehole? And there is an edit which is replying to some of the comments, so we'll cover that after the fact. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know what -3 is in terms of seeing, and daughter was definitely wrong for throwing the glasses out the window. Yeah, that's shitty behaviour, right? And I assume the daughter's, she's at that age now where she wears glasses, is changing your appearance, and you're going to get comments from your peers because of it. And, that's always a frightening experience, especially around that age, let's face it. As I said, throwing your glasses out the window is not the right way about it. I'm not excusing that at all. But I think it is a scary situation for daughter as well. And I think if you was just to flat out refuse to get another pair just like that, it would make you the arsehole. Obviously, she needs these glasses to see. She's not wearing them at the same time. So it's a bit of a minefield, this one. It's like, oh, well, she's not going to wear them. But do you buy a new pair? I think you should definitely buy a new pair, a cheaper pair, whatever. Still enabling her to see. Just so you're not taking away the tool allowing her to see. I myself had to get glasses for reading a couple of years back when I noticed like at the computer and stuff, my eyes were strained, and I went to get them tested, and now I have to wear glasses when reading stories and stuff like that. And I've got to say, even now, when I went back to my office in my workplace, I was still a little bit embarrassed because I was like, I'm now putting on glasses, it's going to make me look different and make me stand out for a moment. I automatically walked into the office and went, hey everyone, check this out, and just popped them on. I know it's a lot harder to do as a teenager. I remember going back to my teenage years and the way I was feeling back then. I think younger me would have been absolutely petrified to wear glasses to school, and I know it's not right, but I know that's how I would have felt. But Cake Eating Rabbit says you're the arsehole, she needs glasses, that's not debatable. Punish her by making her work and pay you back or something else. Contact lenses aren't an option, I guess. Spirit Animal is Jinx says she threw her glasses out of a 6th-story window. Pretty hard to blame you. I'd probably still buy the cheap frames. Fucking sucks, but guess what? Teens are arseholes. No one's an arsehole here. Awkward Velociraptor says everyone sucks here except your husband. Your daughter needs her glasses, but think of where she is in life. Is it cool to wear glasses? Probably not, and she wants to blend in with her peers. And you may think contacts are the solution, but I can tell you that 15 years of wearing glasses have never made me want to stick my finger in my eye. Get her a cheap pair and stop arguing about it. She doesn't need to wear them all the time. She needs them for distance, meaning to see the blackboard and driving eventually. The more you push, the more she will push back. Heath says, slight you're the arsehole. I really hope she's being reprimanded in some way for purposely destroying something expensive you bought her. But not getting her a medical device she needs is not the proper punishment. Try the contacts route again, especially for sports. At least get her a pair of cheap ones to have on hand. I recommend I Buy Direct. I got my prescription glasses for $20. Not sponsored. Remind her that she won't be able to get a driver's permit someday without having some kind of everyday corrective option. Woodtip Wine says you're the arsehole. -3 is not a joke. She legit can't see. I get not wanting to spend money on something that she may or may not use, but she's probably just self-conscious and acting out. Kids can be super vicious when it comes to teasing and bullying. She may just be trying to protect herself in a way she knows how. Get her a cheap pair. Don't force her to wear them, but request that she at least take them with her. She will break down eventually and try them out, or she won't and she'll struggle to see. But denying her the option just because she's a kid and had a tantrum is kind of an arsehole move. Now, what do you guys make of this one? What do you make of all of today's stories? If you have time, I would love to hear your opinions down in the comments below. I try to read as many as I can, and you folks always blow me away with what you come up with, and it's lovely to see you get involved. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can like, subscribe, even join us on Patreon. Link is down in the description. It super helps out, but please, never any pressure to do so as well. I'm trying to update weekly with a couple of little members videos here and there when I get time to do it. So be on the lookout for those, and I will see you, your cheeky so-and-so, in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love to you.
Man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in the spare crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't